Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is about me removing the panel, or actually removing the door on the passenger side of the car, so be able to give me better access to weld in that piece that I made up. There's a little tight corner there where I need to weld, plus there's a little drain hole in the 109, I'll show you in a second, right at the bottom there. That's not on any of my other cars, and I'm not sure, maybe I can get some feedback from you guys whether that's original or not. It just seems like an odd place to put it. It's not on like the end of the others. The others it just you know, drains out. But anyway, we'll look at that. But today I'm going to remove the door, and obviously I've got to take all the wires out and feed those into the bulkhead so I can separate it, and obviously eventually it'll need paint and everything. So this door won't go back on until I paint them. So this is the first one I'm going to take off. Obviously all four are going to come off eventually. This passenger door is the only door that's going to need some panel work down the bottom. It looks really, it's very straight, all of it's really good, but at the bottom we've got a little bit of rust bubbling at the bottom. So I'm going to cut off the bottom part of the door and repair that. I actually do have a couple of spare doors from a 108 SE model, not an SEL, so it's a shorter door in the shed. I've got a passenger door, and this one I pulled off at one at the scrap yard, you know, row 52. One other thing, if any of you have row 52 scrap yards in your areas, they're all across the States, they maybe in Canada as well. In the years that I've been looking, probably the last 3 or 4 years, I've got an app on my phone to alert me when a car comes in. And over the 3 or 4 years I've really been kind of actively looking. About 3 of these have come through the yard, and you have to be quick, you have to really move, because there's guys in the area that get down there and strip them out really quick. So if you're ready and you can get on there, get down there, you can get some amazingly good deals at the scrapyard. For instance, $45 for a door. That's all the glass, window regulator, whole lot, 45 bucks. Fenders, $45, trunks, $40. You know, they've got hubcaps, bumpers, grills. Obviously interior pieces a lot of the time suffer quite badly. They tend to butcher them. You know, some guys when they try and take parts out, they just butcher them. But I've scored some parts over the years, so if you're patient, willing to wait and keep an eye out, row 52 is the place to keep an eye out for. So anyway, let's get on and start unscrewing the armrest and all the bits to get this door panel off and see what's going on. I'm curious to see if they had sprayed inside behind the panel, or they, you know, didn't bother with that. I'm kind of curious, because this obviously was an original 050G white car. Okay, first things first, take this little chrome plate off here. Then I can remove the arm rest, which is 2 Phillips screws and one behind this little chrome piece here. Actually no, that's it's like a 10mm bolt there. I think on my other cars it was a screw, maybe that's not stock, but whoops. So obviously keep all these parts together, because it's, I don't know when this door's going to go back on. It could be a long time, you know, once I get, I've got a lot to do. Could be at least a year before this door goes back on again, I'm afraid. Sorry, but it's all got to be painted, and I'll lubricate all the window regulator while I'm in there. Just check everything. The little rubber connection, flexible connection hose, you know, the thing between the door and the A-pillar, that's all split. That's a common thing, so I'm going to replace those, make it look nice, you know. This interior is in pretty darn good shape. This velour is untorn, it's just dirty. This is MB Tex on here and here. So let's get a socket on that guy. That, and then this little guy has a plastic internal here. There we go. It is that end. It's got a little couple of little tabs here. You just have to get a thin bladed scraper and just leave it out. Then it exposes Then it exposes a Phillips screw there. Undo that guy. Very similar to the VW Beetle ones, really. Okay, and unpop the little tabs. Try and be very careful with those. Oops, there we go. They just put a dustbin liner on there by the looks of it. Oh, they do. They sprayed all the doors on the inside. It looks like a dustbin liner they put on there, and they didn't really glue it on. So that'll obviously glue on. The door card's in pretty good shape. Doesn't feel damp, or doesn't look like any damp has gotten to it. No sort of mold spores or anything like that. So it seems like a really good door card. So that's a good one. Okay, obviously we've got window regulator here, and we've got the wires here for the power motor. And we've got all the vacuum actuators for the central locking system. So I'm going to disconnect that lot. I like to take pictures of everything, you know, because you think you'll remember, and you know, it just makes it easier on assembly. Everything looks in pretty good shape in here. Minimal surface rust inside the door. I'll obviously treat all that with some rust encapsulator or something, and then pump in some wax oil down the bottom there. So, okay, let me figure out, I'll undo that and pass the wires through, and then we can unbolt this door. Also, if you ever feel the inclination to do it, getting the door panels off is a good time to lubricate these regulators. This one looks in pretty darn good shape because they tend to suffer right at the ends, but these teeth look in really nice shape. But you know, obviously they never get lubricated, and they're up and down, up and down. I mean, 50 odd years, can you imagine? So it's something to do. Doesn't take long to remove the door panel, check inside, you know, clean out any rubbish, clean your drain holes, lubricate the regulator, you know, lubricate all this kind of stuff that never gets touched over the years, but because it's so darn well made, it works beautifully, but it could do with a little lubrication. And obviously all this, the quarter lights, that actuator there, that very well built, but again, you want to get some lubrication in there. So that's that darn phone, man. So like I say, when you take these panels off, lubricate all the connection points, the regulator, the tracks, you know, make sure everything's running nice, clean out the bottom of the door, the drain holes, check for any upcoming rust problems, you know. This is in remarkably good shape, and like I say, it does look like they changed the colour completely, so that means they would have stripped out all this door. So it was probably a very expensive respray to take all this stuff off, you know. So anyway, let's get this door off. I've undone these two guys. Obviously the wires go through and feed into this wiring harness here, and there's a little clamp that has a bolt on it, and it looks like, what, an 8mm was it? Yeah, 8mm bolt holds that. Gotta take that guy off. I'll show you. You can see this when you open the door up, you know. This little guy, just to hold that. So obviously we've got the vacuum lines that I do have to disconnect. Take those out. I've taken pictures of everything, like I say, I like to do that. Undo these. Okay, you've got two lines here. You've got a clear one and a dark one. I've made note where they go on the little actuator thing there, so I should be able to pull those guys off. That's those two. We've got this little hinge point here. That looks like a flashlight. Yeah, it's just like a little split pin. Oh no, it's a little pull pin. Sorry. See my eyes, you know. So we've got the little check strap here. It's got this little tiny check pin here, this little horseshoe thing. You pull that out and then you can push the pin up. You should be able to. I'll have to tap it up with a hammer. Hold on a second. Okay. It's funny, I noticed on this car, this enables you to push the door open a little bit more as well. I noticed on this car that they've taken the time to redo the doors, but this weather stripping around here looks like they masked off because there's still white underneath it. A little odd, but anyway. So there's the check strap. Looks like a Scotch lock connection. Someone's Scotch locked it, which is kind of a pain. So that means I might have to drop the regulator, which I've got to do anyway really, but let's try and drop the regulator. That might give me better access. Some of you are probably saying, why don't you drop the regulator? Okay, alright. Now there's a little clip at the top of the regulator arm. There we go. You can take the clip off. I'll show you when I get it out. There we go. Washer. So now the regulator is loosey-goosey in here. I'll show you something about this regulator when I get it out. The different types. So come on, baby. Nearly there. There we go. See, there's the darn Scotch locks. I'll make a better connection now. Let's take those off. This is one of the later chassis. Does look like this has been, yeah, this has been stressed. This one, you can see. You can see on there, this whole chassis has been kind of stressed. The actual arm is in really nice shape, so I'll definitely be testing this before I put it back. See this little arm here? It's kind of bowed up severely, and the chassis has been bent. And that's down to just lubrication or lack of, you know. My 68 has the earlier chassis. This is like a cast material, and even though obviously it lasts a long time, the 68 has a heavy steel chassis. It's not going anywhere. It's a lot more. Let me get that. The chassis on the 68, the early one, is a heavy heavy steel, so it's very robust. Now what I did on that one, what ends up happening, these gears start getting chewed up, and obviously regulators can be very expensive to buy, and this is like referring back to my other video about expenditure. You don't have to go and buy $300-400 regulators. What I did, there was a company that made replacement regulators. They were relatively inexpensive, about 125, 150 bucks. And what I did, I ordered it. All I was after with this arm and this gear. I literally smashed off the pot metal because it's the chassis on those are just garbage. They literally, I think it might have even been broken on delivery, but I didn't care. I actually removed this arm, tapped a hole, and replaced this whole arm and put it on the metal chassis of my 68, and it's worked flawlessly. I just tapped and put some Loctite, you know, some thread locker, and same gear. All I was after, like I say, was this triangular gear section. And as I said before, I've got one of these doors in the garage, and hopefully the regulator on that door is good. So I'll check the motor. It's the time to maybe undo this service plate, clean all the gears, give all the gears a good old cleaning and a lubrication. But man, that is really twisted. I don't think that's meant to be like that. And also, look, you can see it's been rubbing. See, it's been rubbing on here after it's twisted, so it probably made a lot of noise, this one. So here is where the clip goes. So this is what clips onto the window slide, the carriage there, and then this little clip here just goes on there and slides on, he said. Just put that on there for safekeeping. Very greasy, and so that's something to get serviced. They're fine. Get two out. You've got to be prepared because these doors are bloody heavy. Just get that in there like that. There you go. That wasn't too bad. Get that down there. Gently Bentley. So there you have it. So these got to weigh about, man, that's got to weigh about 50-60 pounds or something, I think, and that's not even got the regulator in it. Hold on, let me put it back here. See, this is the hole. Now obviously it's some kind of drain hole, but it's not on either of my other cars, on either 108, and I don't know, I'm assuming there was some kind of little rubber grommet in there at some point. So if you want to get back to me on that, anyone, that's great. But I find personally that the other ones don't have a problem. You know, water can come down and pool here and then it just falls out. So I may just blank that off. I don't know yet. I'll see. I'm going to clean this area up because there's a little surface rust here. Let me get the old brush on it. Yeah, it's just that body stuff, you know. I want to really make sure this corner's in good shape, because on the other side we got a hole there, which will be pretty easy to repair because it's just a little corner bit. So I want to make sure this corner's in good shape. Is that a hole there? Oh no, there is a hole. Yeah, look at that. Here, so there you go, we've got another hole here. So get the old pick hammer, only a little one. Yeah, kind of a not too bad really. I mean, I can cut that out, splice a little metal in there, not a big deal really. So obviously this gives me a nice access to this corner, check everything. We're looking really good now. So now we can go ahead and clean this area up for the end of the other video, the repair patch. This is all nice and clean now. The little switch here, that I'd like to put a proper one or clean that one off. I don't want blue paint all over it. So get that done. Now we've got access to this rubber tubing that goes into the bulkhead here. This is a common thing, I think, on one of mine, the split a bit, you know, so they're still accessible. You can still buy those things. So I'll, you know, obviously probably bag all these wires and tubes and everything, get them out of the way so they don't get damaged. I'll grind all this up, check for any rust for anywhere. Okay, so how does that make sense really? I took off the strike plate, you know, the receiver for the pin, and they masked it off instead of taking it off. It takes seconds to take it off, right? But they chose to mask it off, and that's one thing. But as you can know, the door, they must have removed all the regulator and all the, obviously the seal and all that to repaint the door on the inside, but they didn't bother doing that. How does that make sense? Don't to me. And as I say, they must have masked this stuff off, because there's spray line there. Very peculiar. Anyway, alright. Okay, another thing, I stripped the wood off of wood trim off all the doors, because off the door I should say, because I may have to store the door out under my canopy, and I don't want this exposed to the weather. They're all in pretty darn good shape. This tiny little bit of veneer at the top here that's sheared off, that was loose, and I gently pulled it off because I didn't want to lose it, and it was flapping all over the place. So I've got that hidden in a Ziploc in a drawer in the house. I'll mark all these so I know, makes it easier for assembly, which door it came from. And again, I'm gonna, once I get, you know, some spare time over the next 6 months, a year or so, I'm going to veneer these in burl walnut. Should be relatively straightforward really. A mild curve there. I can use what's called a veneer wetter that will loosen the veneer up enough to wrap around those guys. Pick up some really beautiful burl walnut or something, maybe some English walnut, some real tight grain stuff. You want some tight stuff, because if it's too broad of a grain on these small pieces it won't really show. So you want some nice tight knots, you know, so you can really see the beauty of the wood. So we'll get these packed up, and these guys in the Ziploc, because these are these little trim screws are kind of a pain to find in the hardware store. There's these little washer things. I do have spare ones. Again, I took these off of a scrap, not these ones, but I've got a bunch of these that I got from a scrap yard, you know, at row 52. They're the kind of things that people ignore, but having a bunch of fasteners is always really handy, you know. Before we go, I'm just going to go over the door card with you. Like I say, it's in really good shape. No evidence of dampness behind or anything. But I am going to take this wooden strip off that is unique to the 109 cars, and there's a little dryness at the end here. I don't know whether it's really just veneer is just starting to get loose at the very tippy top, or whatever you want to say. Right at the very end there, it's getting a little dry, and finish is coming off. Obviously this needs to come off to refinish, or if I'm so inclined I might veneer these in burl walnut, just to, you know, fancy it up a bit, just like the 109 cars used to have Sobrano burl walnut. This is a straight grain one. So what they do, believe it or not, they just staple it from the back. There's just some small staples all the way along holding that in position. These silver clips here are for the chrome strip. That's fine, I'll leave that, but I'll just lever this little wooden strip off. See, comes off very easy. Just got to be careful you don't damage the velour. Pull the staples out from behind if you have that problem. They came out real easy. It's like something might have gotten everything else loose except there. It might even have, someone might have even tried gluing the veneer and it's just caught there, so I'm going to be very careful there. Maybe just a very fine Stanley blade on that guy. So I don't know whether you guys saw on one of the videos on YouTube, and I don't know whether it was Australia, but there was this beautiful 109, all been restored. You know, it was gorgeous. It was like a silver grey colour. And what really blew my mind, I opened the door up and someone had put screws right through the wood. I couldn't believe it. They'd done a stunning job on the rest of the car, and some wally had put screws all the way through. I couldn't understand that. I really couldn't, but each to his own, I suppose. Hear that? I'm sure it's just filth and crud has got in there. Maybe some moisture. Just gently ease that velour off. Looks like the felt strip will have to be. It's just a little felt strip there. That can be renewed. That's not a big deal. Someone's written on there. Oh, 1980 it says there. But that's just a felt strip. That can be replaced, not a problem. And mate, it's kind of it's almost like a glue. Someone's glued that for some reason right there. But not to worry. The rest of it is really nice. So, alright, that's going to go off to storage. And that down to the wood shop. Okay, that's about it for today. Removing the door. I'm obviously going to remove all the doors. I won't shoot videos for every one. I think you got the idea. I'm going to bag all the bolts and everything and mark what door it came, probably tape it to the door and store the door off safe. I'll give it a good inspection, make sure the panelling's good. But I think it is. It's just a little surface rust on the inside. But I do need to attend to that regulator. I think I might have a spare one in the garage. So I'll pull that one off and see if that's going to work all right. It should do. It's the same door. It's off of a 108 anyway. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Please leave a comment in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye bye.